I literally went to the bathroom like 2 minutes before they were going to call me on stage, and I actually caressed myself like you would to a kid. And I was like, hey, I love you. You might be nervous, and that's okay. Even if you messed up completely, it would be fine.
I think that caressing ourselves is so important and underrated because so often we are looking for that love through another. That's why there's so many people in situationships right now, because biologically we need to have that intimacy, closeness, and connection, but then we reach for it wherever we can, you know? And then we end up in situations where the person is wishy-washy, they're not valuing us, etc. But it's our only source of intimacy. But if you can every single day just like hug yourself, stroke yourself, touch your face the way that you would a lover, like kiss your own hands, like stroke your legs.
They say that not only did Parvati want Shiva as her husband, that wasn't enough for her. She wanted to attain him. She wanted to attain Shiva.
I'm truly calling in at this point in my life like genuine sacred union, you know, and true sacred union is honesty, authenticity, transparency, because that's the only place that love can come from. We're eradicated from our mother's wombs, and all of a sudden we have to breathe for ourselves. Everything hurts. Oh my God. I just want to be back home. I just want to be back in love. In love. So that's what we're looking for the rest of our lives. How do I come back in?
Ever since I wrote my goals down with the pen, my dreams and reality have both been blending in. I just hope that
My guest today is Sahara Rose, and if you've been listening to any kind of spiritual, especially women's empowerment or Ayurveda kind of material in the last 8 years, you would know that name. Sahara Rose is the author of Idiot's Guide to Ayurveda, and she's been called by Deepak Chopra a millennial thought leader who is taking the torch of Ayurveda and burning it brightly. We've become good friends in this month that I've been in Dubai, and I can't wait for you to hear this conversation with her. Yes, you're in my chair now.
Yalla, habibi.
Habibi. We've talked about how we both feel so at home in Dubai.
It's crazy. Who would have thought? It's like our parents left the Middle East for opportunity and we back.
And we back. I heard about this. It was yesterday, how they want to bring 10,000 influencers here, give them golden visas. Have you heard of this?
I did, yes.
And I was like, man, I'm so tempted. I just don't know if Dubai is home for me. It doesn't feel like that, but I do love it here. I was at a restaurant yesterday, a Mexican restaurant, even though I'm from California, right? I go to a Mexican restaurant and the couple next to me is speaking in a Lebanese accent. And I'm just like, God, I just love that. Because in California, I'd be like, ooh, they're Lebanese. But here it's just like natural. It's like everywhere I go, there's like Arab speaking, there's Indian culture. So it's not just Arab, there's Persian, there's Indian, right? It's like this beautiful melting pot of all the Middle East.
Yes, and each culture carries unique codes for us. Each place we live activates different dormant parts of ourselves, different memories of past lives that we're not even aware of. So it's really interesting how, I've been traveling for quite a long time, really living in different countries, and I meet a new side of my place everywhere I go.
It's interesting that you said like the codes, right? In all the different cultures. And being here, I am noticing something activate. I had like a deep spiritual experience just last night where I had to immediately just start writing them down. And I'm just in my room by myself. But it was after a long day of just being in this energy field and like the desert energy. Even though I'm from Lebanon, we don't have deserts, but it's still that feel. And there was a really powerful medium that told me, who knew nothing about me at the time, that she said, you need to embrace the name. She said, you're a healer, which I am. And she said, and you need to embrace the name you had in ancient Persia when you were a powerful healer thousands of years ago. Your name was Firas. That's my, this, but that's my birth name in this life. And no one at the time knew that. Nobody. I was frank to the world, And so there is like a code even in the names that were given. Right?
It's the vibration that everyone knows us. I mean, look at the power of mantra. Mantra is we are creating specific vibrational sonic fields through activating different parts of our mouths. That's why if I say Om, I'm connecting to all creation in the universe. If I'm saying, and we were talking about like Om Namah Shivaya, like just saying that is activating the divine masculine presence. Every single mantra has a code. And so our name is our mantra. It's what we're saying. It's the vibrational sonic resonance that people know us for. So it's interesting how our parents, before even meeting us, choose our names. In ancient culture, your name was actually given as a rite of passage when you were like 13. They had to get to know you.
13?
Yeah, in many ancient cultures, they have to get to know you and then see who you become.
Yeah, you and I are going to an Indian wedding this week, and they were telling me in the car the other day, the couple was saying to me, I said, "Are you doing anything based on like not Ayurveda, Vedic astrology for the naming?" And they said, "Yeah, but you don't actually do that until after they're born because you need the timing of when they were born. You need there's so many factors that you need to know before you name the child."
It's crazy because we're just doing it based on an idea. And this is the invitation for anyone listening. If you've ever felt like your name doesn't totally fit you, it feels like maybe, like growing up, people would call me Sarah. It's not even my name, but it was like the American version of it. My real name is Sara. But I never felt like that. It felt like the easy Americanized way people can understand me, but then that becomes my mantra. It's not who I really am. And so it's my invitation for you is to really tune into what is the name that you desire, and it will literally shift your life to be called by something else and to know yourself as something else.
Yeah, as I get older, I do not resonate with Frank. I'm like, the name sounds strange on my tongue.
You are not a Frank.
Right?
Yeah.
And for years, I'd be Frankie, and that made it fun, and like everyone thought I was Italian anyway, but it's like, but I'm so Firas.
Yeah, you are Firas.
What is the vibrate, which by the way, Sarah, Sara, people think, oh, it's so American. Sara is an Arabic name. Like so much of even Western culture was shaped by our civilizations that they don't even realize because so much of this is suppressed. But I'm like, you're walking around being like Sarah to whoever this American or any Western culture and not knowing that your name is an Arab name. What is the vibrational code, do you think, of Sahara Rose?
Well, it came to me in a breathwork journey when I was 23 years old, and it showed me the vast desert of nothingness of my ancestral lineage where there was no opportunity, especially for women, forced child marriage, throughout all my grandmothers in my family. My mom escaped from the war on foot from Iran, and my dad came to the US to study, couldn't go back, and just lots of political turmoil and the desert of nothing, like lack of opportunity. And then within that, I was the rose that was bringing beauty, that was bringing a new petal to this lineage. And that's how the name Sahara Rose came to be.
When I posted a photo with you the other day, it was like a happy birthday post. And so many of my women, specifically followers, DM'd me and were like, wow, she empowers me so much. I love her. You don't know how much I love her. And it was really like, it was a testament to like who you are. But what would you say to those women or anybody listening who watches you and is like, man, I'm so empowered by her?
Stop giving a fuck what people think. It's been a journey of an unraveling and unpedaling. I like to speak through the rose often. But layer by layer, the more you decondition from who you have been made to believe you are, the more you can remember the truth of who you are. But every single one of those initiations, it's like an uncomfortable truth, a thing that normally it's like, okay, let me be the bigger person. Let me let that slide. Okay, whatever. They have a traumatized inner child in them. I'll be the bigger person. So much of stepping into that like embodiment of what we desire, whether it's the divine masculine or feminine, is saying the uncomfortable thing that is there in the room that no one is saying, whether it's to your family of, hey, I'm not going to take advice from you. Why? We said you're supposed to do this. We did that. Because when I look at my life, I don't desire a life that's similar to how you led it. I desire a different kind of life. That's an uncomfortable truth to say. But when I realized that, why am I taking advice from people whose lives I don't want my life to look anything like?
Right. Yeah.
Huge. And so being honest with yourself, this is every single day I do an inventory of like, how am I lying to myself in any way? Letting something pass, minimizing, like not even going there in my conscience. How can I imagine if every single day I took a truth serum? How can I be so truthful to myself every single day and living by that and saying that thing that like, especially when it comes to dating, which we talk about often, it's like just laying it on the table and like, if this doesn't work out, that's okay. Because when I'm operating on a vibration of truth, I cannot allow anything but. People always ask me, like, you've blown up so much. I'm 34. I look better than I ever have in my entire life. And we were talking about it just keeps getting better.
We were just talking about that. Me and our engineer today. She was like, you're 36?
Why? Truth. It has nothing to do with
so
what
true.
I put on I don't do really much to my face or anything.
Yeah.
It's living my motherfucking truth.
Wow. But so you know what's interesting is like when you said about like telling people straight up to their face of like, I don't want your advice. I kind of have an opposite route where I don't take the advice, but I nod my head and smile. Where like,
Well, that's your little air boy.
well, but you know
But you
what?
gotta know when. You
We
gotta know when.
But for
Yeah.
me, it's like, you know, I think of a quote. I don't even know if it's a real quote or not, but Robert Downey Jr. And I saw this quote from him once, and they said that he said, when a director is telling me how to do a scene, I nod my head and smile, and then I do whatever the fuck I was going to do anyway.
Yeah, but then the director might say, well, I told you to smile at this person and shake their left hand, but you keep doing this. So
You're
just
right.
say, I understand why you would want me to do that. However, I think this scene would be better played if I did it. Do you mind if I try that?
Yeah,
Just say the
yeah,
uncomfortable
yeah,
thing
yeah.
rather than this pretending I'm listening to you and I'm not. That's actually promoting the toxicity in our culture. Like, and okay, I'm going to give you an example.
But what about then for women, like a Whitney Houston or whatever, Mariah Carey doing that, and they go, God, she's such a diva.
Let them.
Yeah.
Let them.
Yeah.
So obviously I grew up Persian, massive good girl conditioning, all about pleasing the family and then one day pleasing your husband and all of that. So I understand it. Like literally part of our culture, we have something called tarof, which is like you basically like will give people whatever they want. So if you came to my home and you said, oh, I love your carpet, I would have to be like, this carpet, this little thing, you have it, it's yours. No, Frankie John, I want you to have this carpet. This will look so beautiful in your home. It is nothing to me. I have another carpet, it's coming tomorrow. I want you to have this one. And then you have to be like, no, Sahara June,
It's
no,
so true. Everybody's
I don't
playing this
want it."
game.
And I'm like, I'm rolling it up right now. Come, roll it up. We're taking Frankie's house. I don't want to give you this carpet, but I have to pretend I want to.
And I have to pretend I don't want to accept it.
Exactly. And we have to do this dance several times
Yep.
until we're cool. In Iran, even in taxis, you say, sir, how much is the taxi? Oh, you are my sister. It's free. No, sir, I must pay. Oh, no, it's free. Oh, no, sir, you absolutely must. We just wasted 5 minutes of our lives. Okay, it's actually this much, Toman. If I walked away when he said, oh, it's free, and said, wow, thank you so much, he'd spit on me. He'd be like, you piece of fucking shit. This was not free. I was doing taro with you. So I grew up in a culture of lies where you have to lie. Otherwise, you're impolite. Like when I remember I was 18 years old. I was in the back of the car with my cousin from Iran. Two Persian guys driving the car. One of them said, oh, you're really pretty for a sabze. Sabze means dark-skinned girl to me. And I was about to go off on him. My cousin's like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. I can't. I was like, sir, have you looked in the mirror, first of all? You know, and just like, just the amount of colonial mindset in our culture that the whiter, the writer, you know, the prettier, the fairer. And it's not just in Iran, it's in Mexican culture and it's in all
My
cultures.
grandma was blonde hair, blue eyes. And I remember one day I had come out of the room and she goes, wow, I was like 10. She goes, your skin is so white today.
Yeah.
Like that was like such a compliment.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And I remember my grandma's blonde and blue-eyed too, and she would put yogurt on my skin of like, oh, hopefully we can make
You're like,
it
it's not coming off,
lighter."
Grandma.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so we are brought up to just like not say the thing, not make people feel uncomfortable. And it's like little things. So I just noticed in myself, like I'm truly calling in at this point in my life, like genuine sacred union, you know, and true sacred union is honesty, authenticity, transparency, because that's the only place that love can come from.
I just want to tell you about our sponsor, Quantum Upgrade. I know it sounds wild to think about, but there's this energy field that's around me at all times, and I can adjust it, and you can too, based on what you need. So I'm in Dubai right now, and I'm filming a lot of podcasts today, and I wanted the guest to feel warm and loved in my presence in the studio. So I have the frequency of Agni, the heart chakra. So if you're wondering what I'm even talking about, just go to quantumupgrade.io. And when you utilize the code FRANKLY, you get a free 15-day trial to experience this energy field for yourself. If you have any issues, just reach out to customer service and they'll help you. Don't suffer in silence. And it's quantumupgrade.io. Utilize the code FRANKLY for 15 days of a free trial. All right, now to my interview with Sahara Rose. By the way, for everybody, right? Like men, women, but especially for women, to like they'll be like, oh, I'm not going to show them that side of me till the third or fourth because they don't want to scare them off. You don't care. You're like, I would rather know now. Don't waste my time. First date. I mean, you and I talk a lot. So, right? Just, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need. Can you do that or not?
And I feel we have been so raised in our culture to win the person over. Can I get you to like me? That dating becomes a game of, well, I need to make sure you like me rather than I need to see if we're actually compatible. So for example, there was someone who I was talking to and he kept suggesting I meet him in this specific neighborhood. And I had a feeling he lives in that neighborhood and that's why he wants me to go over there. Old me would have just gone. Right? Okay, he's suggesting a neighborhood. I'll go there. It's 45 minutes away, but it's fine. New me said, oh, is that where you live? Just naming it. Are you suggesting that? Like not, I just wanted to call it, is that where you live? And then his response was like, yes, I do live here. And I just know a lot of restaurants and things like that there. So it ended up being totally fine. Whereas old me would have either gone or said, oh, this guy's super lazy and he's suggesting it at his place, so I'm just not going to talk to him. But everything is in the nuance. Everything is in the in-between of like having the conversation, saying that uncomfortable thing. That's the only way we're actually going to be in relationship, period.
Yeah, I think that's why you and I get along so well too, because I really don't mind making people uncomfortable. I'll totally call it out too. But I do it in maybe a gentler way. I mean, that was gentle, totally what you did. But in general, I might be like, hey, it's totally fine if, but are you because blank? You know what I mean? Like, right. It's like totally okay, but is this what you're doing here? Because I don't want them to think, like I want them to know I'm on to them too. Like, hey, I know what you're doing. It's totally fine, but is that, like I see it. I'm not an idiot.
However, it's like, you know, truth always needs to be with a dollop of honey, you know? Because if it's just like, I have some friends that are like, just these kalima truth. And I love that for them. And I'm also, again, Middle Eastern side is like, brings in the honey, but don't do so much honey that the truth is missing. Because sometimes we can be so like, it's totally fine if, and I totally am okay. And I did it. And it's like, what did you really even say in there? Because it got lost.
You brought up something that made me all of a sudden be like, is that a cultural thing? Like, is this a Middle Eastern thing that I never correlated? But my mom would say, because you brought it up with the dating, I'm just thinking in life of like you said, make the person like you. My mom would always, and I had to like totally shut it down twice. And then she broke the pattern where I would, let's say, go on a job interview or I would have a podcast. Let's say I was on your podcast. She'd be like, did they like you? I'd be like, Mom, ask me if I liked them. Mm-hmm. And she was like, huh? Like she didn't understand. I was like, did I like them? Did I want the job? Yeah. What if I went on this job interview and I realized it's not good enough for me? Did you ever even think of that? She's like, well, no, you want people to like you. And I'm like, no, did I like them? Did I think it was a good fit? Because I see like my really successful friends and their parents, they ask questions like that. Did you like them? Would you want to work there? And how, like, what a difference. Is that a Middle Eastern thing?
I didn't grow up with that specifically, but I don't think my parents were also like, did you like them either? It was just like, how did it go? Maybe in general. Because
you said culturally earlier. I thought maybe you meant like American or Western culture.
Yeah, I do feel, I mean, in a lot of foreign cultures, it is that because if you look at it, if you came from an immigrant to this country, everything's about getting people to like you. Everything is about assimilation. You don't want your accent to be weird. You don't want your food you eat to be too much. You don't want your aesthetic, your everything. It's all about fitting in.
And don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat, let alone go on a podcast and talk about this shit, you know? So it makes total sense that she would be like, well, did they like you? Did you fit in? Are we safe?
And she's the sweetest, nicest. Like there's no malicious, she's like the nicest, most incredible woman and strong, by the way. Like powerful, strong bulldozer, right? Mm-hmm. So, but even her being this fiery redhead, like everything still had that in her.
Yeah.
To always ask me like, did they like you? And me and my brother talk about this, how we had to really break that conditioning,
something that I do when I'm somewhere, because I can get like so lost in the conversation, is just to go to the bathroom and just take a few breaths and tune back into my own body and be like, like, I'm here in this body. Like, are you good? Like, do you need water? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Because sometimes I think we can get so lost in, whether it's we're genuinely connecting or we just want people to like us or everywhere in between. So just to have our own energetic sovereignty and knowing and boundaries. And that's actually what magnetic energy is. right? Because we think it's being magnetic to be like so attuned to what that person wants and like being the perfect version of ourselves for them. Like I saw within myself when I first started dating of almost like I could read like what you wanted and like I can be your perfect girl. Like I can be the dream girl.
Exactly.
And like
because
to really,
you're so intuitive and sensitive. You're like, oh, he wants this, I can be that.
Yeah. And I feel especially for those of us that are healers, empaths, you know, we so deeply are drawn to the people that were like, oh, you need this in your life? I can do that and more, you know, and to really like reclaim back of like, does this feel reciprocal?
I hope people like listen. They might have skipped over it, but like the part of you going to the bathroom is such a powerful, underrated tool. I will be sometimes at a place, even if it's somewhere like casual or something as big as like the Oscars, and I will go into the mirror and just talk to myself. I'll go and just, you know, freshen up, even if I don't need to use the bathroom, and I'll just say, hey, you're doing so great. I love you. I'm so proud of you. It's so cool where you are in life right now that you get invited to things like this. If for even a second you're uncomfortable, just know you can always come back here or you can leave. You don't have to say if you're uncomfortable, but you're doing great. Like, don't worry. Everything is fine. I'll literally look in the mirror and say that to myself. I did it before my TED Talk. I literally went to the bathroom like 2 minutes before they were going to call me on stage. And I actually caressed myself like you would to a kid. And I was like, hey, I love you. I know you might be nervous and that's okay. Even if you messed up completely, it would be fine. I love you and I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm proud of you that you show up even if you're uncomfortable.
I think the caressing ourselves is so important and underrated because so often we are looking for that love through another. You know, that's why there's so many people in situationships right now, because biologically we need to have that intimacy, closeness, and connection, but then we reach for it wherever we can, you know, and then we end up in situations where the person is wishy-washy, they're not valuing us, etc. But it's our only source of intimacy. But if you can every single day just like hug yourself, stroke yourself, touch your face the way that you would a lover, like kiss your own hands, like stroke your legs, like the things that you would love someone to do to you or things that you would love to do to someone, to give that to yourself. And it creates this beautiful like microcosmic orbit that's like self-fulfilling because you're able to both give and receive love in real time to yourself without the, you know, situation that it might be attached to. And I feel that if so many more people did that, we would be able to hold ourselves energetically so we wouldn't be grasping for love wherever we need it.
Speaking of that, you had a roller coaster ride, I feel like, and you've spoken about it, so I know we can now, with what you call good girl conditioning, and which Marilyn Monroe talks about. And she said, well-behaved girls never make history. And I don't think she means like go out there and twerk, right? That's fine if you want to do that, but I think she means like really just do what's right, like, do what might rock the boat or make other people uncomfortable. And which could be like a woman flying a plane for the first time. Like if it makes people uncomfortable or say that that's not right, like those are the women that make history. But you talk about good girl conditioning and then getting married, the whole experience that was, which we can talk about to the extent that you're comfortable, and then what that led to for you, like the breakthrough, the exploring your shadow side, going full into this version that you are now that can sit here and talk about the things you talk about.
Yeah. So the good girl or even good boy conditioning is the part of ourself as a child that was looking to our parents for approval. Am I doing it right? Is this how it's supposed to be? Do I get a pat on the head? Am I enough? The most toxic word in the English language, one of them. Do you know what it is?
No.
Should. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I say that? Should I go there? Should. You know, I sat with grandmother ayahuasca. The only time I felt like vomiting on that journey was when the word should would come into my head. All of a sudden, ugh. And the medicine was like, do you see what this word should is doing to you? It's making you sick. How often are we going in life like looking for anyone to just tell us, am I doing this thing right? Should I, as if there's a right or wrong. guess what? You're going to take whatever journey your soul signed up to take on this lifetime. And there is no should, it just is. You just have to trust the path and let it all unfold. You know, a thing that I kept saying to myself in my head, trust the path, let it all unfold, just release the control. Trust the path, let it all unfold, just release the control. It's this control that we are holding on to. It was the control of our parents passed on to us, that we're in this like self-controlling thing, thinking that like, if I just get it right, then I'll have the life that I want to live. As if it's like left door, right door, happiness or eternal misery. You know, it's every door and every moment is opening more doors.
And the bad is not necessarily bad. We call it bad.
There's no
escaping
it.
It's but it's not even bad, right? It's like weather. When people say good weather, bad weather, the weather is just weather. And if I say, oh, it's bad weather because it's raining, someone else might be like, this is amazing. I love cozy nights in when it's raining. So like what you say is like, there is no good or bad. It just is.
And you know what?
That bad could lead to something like, what did your divorce lead to?
And think about it. I've had 10,000 sunny days where everything was great and I had a nice lunch and everything was wonderful. And I'm talking about my divorce. Why? It was the thing that changed me more than all those beautiful sunny days. You know, everyone's not like, tell me about the trip to the Maldives you took, you know? They're saying, tell me about that time that your ex-husband told you he was cheating on you and you had no idea what was coming and you had to figure out on your own how to get divorced, how to move and go through all of the healing as a result of that with no support of your family. That's the situation that I would say was the shitty part of my memoir, but also the reason why I'm here. And so I want to, especially talking to those of us that are spiritual. I remember before this, I was like, Abraham Hicks, I just want to feel good.
Light and love and
time.
Crystals and manifesting.
Feeling good is my job, period. Look, I wouldn't have this job if I just felt good all the time. But can you feel good in the pain and misery? You know, I love Abraham Hicks it's like, life is not going to be easy, but can I find ease in the suffering? Can I find art in the suffering? Can I find joy in the suffering? Because wherever there is grief, there is joy, and there are other sides of one another. So coming back to that good girl, good boy conditioning, it's the part of us that thinks there is a binary, good, bad. I'm good if I get everything right to my parents' societies, schools, cultures, liking, and then I will fit into the box and be enough and live a life of eternal stability and security and happiness till death do us part. But if I don't get it right, then Big Daddy in the sky or school principal or my father or whoever else is going to punish me. And then I'm going to suffer heaven, hell. Like we've been raised in these binaries and it's just not the way that life actually is. It was created as a control mechanism, right? You know,
exactly.
The definition of hell was only added to the Bible. I think it was like something crazy like the 1500s. There wasn't even hell in the Bible before that. It was added in as a control thing of telling them that they're going to like go to heaven is not enough. We also need a really bad place because people are going to make it scary because that's going to actually draw them to do the thing more than the good is. Think about that. That's freaking crazy that so much of our lives are based on this very new thing that someone just added to the story. So breaking free from that good girl conditioning for me, it didn't even come as a choice because I think sometimes God knows that if you're not willing to do something yourself, God will do it for you. If you are not willing or even seeing to do something yourself, God will do it for you. So I was with my then husband since I was 24 years old. You know, he was an Arab Jordanian guy and, you know, it was very easy going into that relationship. In no way was it a toxic relationship, but it was very much, he was focused on his work and his business and I was focused on mine. And like, we didn't share a life really together, but it was fine. And guess what? I grew up seeing my mom basically have her own life from my dad. So that was pretty normal for me. Dad working all the time because men have more important things to do than actually spending time with us, right? Because any man that, you know, is doing anything important definitely should not have time for their family, right? That's what I grew up seeing. So I normalized it. I don't have dinner with him. I don't see him on weekends or this, but he's working because he is a busy man. And I'll self-source my own needs, you know? Until God said, okay, you're on a spiritual journey. So a spiritual journey is not in a vacuum. We're going to elevate your career, step into your dharma, your soul's purpose. That was a very long journey. Wrote a book about it, Discover Your Dharma. We're going to work on your health issues, get you into pristine health. Wrote some books on Ayurveda. Lots of you guys are into biohacking. We're going to look at your friendships, did a lot of healing with the feminine, created my rose gold goddesses. Like I was in the soul curriculums initiation, and God was like, okay, one last thing missing over here. We're going to tell you what's been happening this whole entire time and you had no idea about. Your husband's been cheating on you.
With
multiple people. And now what are you going to do about it?
Hey, did you know that you're walking around like a radio tower, just broadcasting out these messages and frequencies on a subconscious level? And some of those broadcasts are negative, and they could be affecting the way people see you, the way people treat you. Did you also know that you're never upset for the reason that you think you're upset? We're also walking around with these trapped emotions, trapped old traumas from things that have happened to us in our past. And that's what I clear for people when they come and work with me one-on-one. We look for the subconscious blocks that are affecting you, and I clear them. Most people report the next day, if not that same day, they feel lighter, they feel happier, they feel free. And a lot of times you can check out the testimonials on my website to see people resolve physical illnesses and physical traumas like restless leg syndrome, eye pressure problems, cold feet, cold hands, anxiety. All of these things are things that I've seen get cleared when people work with me. It's all done on an energetic level. And the best part is that it's done remotely from the comfort of your home. We just get on a Zoom call, and in 30 minutes, you can experience what feels like 10 years of therapy. So if you're curious, go to www.frankelaridi.com, and I cannot wait to work with you.
Now, most women in my family, and I'm assuming in your family and people in the Middle East, means, oh, damn, now I have to live with this. It's normal for men to have mistresses, to be with other women. It's normal. But I just knew, and it almost just came out of my mouth. Like I didn't even think it through. I was like, I need to divorce you. No one in my family gets divorced. It's like unheard of. But I just knew, like, I did not, it wasn't like also like after a period of time, it happened once. It was like an ongoing thing. So I'm like, I don't even know what a version of you that's telling the truth is like, because this has been happening. So I don't even know what to go back to. And I'm going to have to live in the misery of that. And I can't. And it was the scariest and hardest thing I've ever done. Not just getting a divorce, but for those of you who've gone through one or a big breakup, everything that comes as a result of that, you know, unwinding your life with someone, you know, home, this, that, but like memories, family, like so many things. Thank goddess we didn't have children, but for so many people, that is part of it as well. And it really took me into the underworld. And before that, I never really knew what pain was. You know, I had felt pain, but I never really understood it. And that was my first true dark night of the soul. You know, dark night of the soul is an on your knees moment when you are like, I am literally living my living nightmare right now.
Like everything flips upside down.
Everything flips.
Your reality, what you thought was real.
The world looks different.
Yeah.
And you are just, there is nothing that you can do, and you have no choice but in that moment to just surrender to God. And in that moment, I was just like, Spirit, lead me, show me, because I don't know. And all I can do is trust that if you are, what I felt in that moment, taking something away from me, it's because you are creating space in my life for something so much greater. And I don't know when or how or where or what that will be, but I trust you. And I packed up my stuff thinking I was going to go to Egypt for 10 days and grieve and heal in the tombs. And once I got to Egypt, I was like, I can't go back. I can't go back because I don't want any part of me to be even tempted to try to make this work. Like that version of me died. You know, I think in this lifetime, we have different times in our life that we die. Like that soul, when I look at pictures of me prior to December 4th, 2022, I love her, but that's not who I am. I feel that version of me, that maiden, that girl that just wanted to be loved and this, she needed to die for this version of me to come
2022?
through. 2022? Yes.
Oh, this is very new.
Yeah, over 2 years ago now.
Couple years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, feels like
honestly,
a lifetime.
what's crazy, Sahara, is because I feel already this whole month I felt so connected with you. 2022 was when exactly my dark night of the soul as well. But it was a 17-year friendship. So how similar.
Yeah.
But it was like you now, where I was like, if I look back now, I love that guy. Like, he's amazing, but I don't go, that's me.
Yeah.
At all. And I don't know if you had this experience, because I think yours was like very shattering, but it's really interesting that I was just telling our engineer here, I don't know if she wants her name said, but whatever, but it's this necklace I'm wearing. I was telling the story of it, and the day my friend gave it to me, he said, it's based on my birth chart. It was taken to Nepal to be activated, like all these things. He said, when you wear it, everything that is not meant for you, everything that's toxic in your life is going to it's a teardrop of Shiva, and it's going to destroy it. That day, he flew from India to Texas and gave it to me. That day, earth-shattering, massive fight with this friend. We dissolved the company and the friendship. Eventually, sort of in a loving way, like where it was like, hey, this is what the situation is. But I had this moment. I just remembered when you were telling your story, where I think it was like 6 months later, and I'm sitting there just doing, work on my laptop, and all of a sudden, I think I was like singing or humming, and I was just so happy. And I just started to cry hysterically, because I was like, oh my God, I'm me again. I feel like me again. This is me. It was suppressed for like more than a decade, because I was always just giving my energy. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, this is me. And I just started to bawl my eyes out. And that day, I remember I felt like even just walking from the living room to the kitchen, that I went through a whole pilgrimage. Like, I didn't need to go out, you went to Egypt, or some people go to like do that thing, the El Camino trail in Spain, which I always felt like I needed to do something grand like that after this. It was literally just walking to my room. It would be like a whole nother, like flashbacks would happen of every moment I gave my power away, or all these things. And I was like, oh my God, this is me. Like, did you have that moment where you were like, I feel like this was always me?
Yeah, what you're speaking into. So the indigenous call this word susto. And susto is when a traumatic event happens, that part of your soul like leaves.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're in that moment of almost like walking dead, like that trauma brain where like someone's talking to you, but all you're thinking about is that like trauma and that thing. And it's like flashbacks and memories and this and that. And it's actually because that part of your soul left. And then there's a recalling of your true self. So then when you felt, oh, this is who I am, it's because there were thought forms attached to you, likely from the time you were a child. Same with me, of like, maybe one time I was a kid and I thought, oh, men are too busy for me because my dad is never home. Therefore, I'm not important.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it took me going face to face with that experience in the biggest way possible that my soul needed to release that part of my soul, and then to reclaim the true pristine nature of who I am. And I feel throughout our lives, the spiritual journey is a spiral, right? So we're going to look at different areas and we're going to go heal them, and we're going to come back to them. That's why we've been in the spiritual world for over a decade now. We both had Dark Nights of the Soul in 2022, not long ago. And we will have more in this lifetime as well. But something I wrote, I became an artist after this divorce and started writing music. I have an album called My Body is an Altar. And one of the songs I write, the waves get further but deeper. But I'd rather dive to the bottom than let this make me weaker. Now I know that certainty is just an illusion. And I'd rather be free in the abyss than caged in my conclusion. And that's it. You know, the waves of the grief, like for those of you who've been through a breakup or someone dying in your family or health challenge, it's like you get out of it and you're like, you know, at first it's like you wake up and the reality hits. Oh shit, that thing happened. And you wake up and it's like the 51st dates. It's like you watch the movie of your life and you're like, fuck, I'm getting a divorce. Fuck, the 17-year friendship is gone. Fuck, I lost my job. And you cry and it hits you so badly morning and nights. And then over a period of time, it's like you wake up and you don't want to cry that day. And you're like, damn, I didn't need to cry today. And you go, it goes further away. And so the waves get further, but they go deeper. That when you look at that thing from a more balanced place in your nervous system, you can look at things so much deeper that you didn't have access to. Still, 2+ years later, I can look at things that were said in that divorce that I maybe haven't even cognitively been ready to fully process and heal from this place and be like, oh, wow, okay. But I can energetically hold it. Whereas when you're so close to it, you just need to get back to like calibration. And that's grief, you know? It's like, it is a spiral. It's a dance. True. It's a ceremony. But I'd rather dive to the bottom than let this make me weaker. It's like, but the only way out is in, you know, by suppressing it, pretending it never happened, putting on a happy face, everything's fine. Getting into another relationship, getting a new best friend, and totally forget about that one. It doesn't make it go away.
Yeah, don't sweep it under the rug. Look at it. And you talk so much about shadow work and deep and look at it. And you know, what is ayahuasca? I stopped working with the medicine maybe like 4 years ago. Never say never. You know, I'll probably do it again eventually. But it makes you look at things. And that's why it's so powerful, because there's nowhere you can go. You can't escape it. It's like, look, it's right here. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Until people just start throwing up and, you know, your body's just like, I don't want to look. I don't want to look. And then you see them the next day after they've been screaming, throwing up. And I'm like, are you okay? And they're like, yeah, I feel amazing, because they finally looked at that thing.
Exactly. It's like if I have a swimming pool and it's filled with algae, right? I can like be swimming in the pool like, this is great. It's super cute. I purposely made it green. Or I can like go to the bottom, scrape up that old algae that's there. It's going to come up. It's going to be kind of messy. I'm going to have to do some weird excavation cleaning. It may take some time. But then I actually get a pristine, clear pool. It's the only way. I can't just keep adding chlorine, keep adding weed.
And it'll get dirty again. Like you said earlier, we'll have more dark nights of the soul. It'll get dirty again. But I get better. But now you know exactly.
Exactly. That now I'm not scared of the algae anymore. I'm like, oh, algae, I know exactly what to do.
And now you're just cleaning up that one rather than decades of things.
But the thing that I've noticed is sometimes in life, you manifest a situation that's the tipping point for you to feel the lifetime of sadness and pain and anger that you did not feel. So I remember I let myself fully die after this divorce, like just grieve to the depths of my pain. And I would cry like from the pit of my stomach, these old ancestral tears. And sometimes I'm like, damn, like where is this pain coming from? Is this really about just this?
You're right, though. We pick up the ancestral karma too.
All the pain of all the ancestors in my family where the womb was a commodity and it was abandoned and used, and all the women in my family that were second, third, fourth, fifth wives of a man that never fully saw them, and all of the children that never received an ounce of attention from their father, and just like the woman who never learned how to read or write, my grandmother who was forced to marry my grandfather when she was 12 years old, like all of that. And then all of the tears I never cried as a kid. When I, you know, would start to cry, my dad would tell me, be rational, not emotional. And I would suck it up. And, you know, he would come home and I would come up with something interesting enough to say to capture his attention, even for 5 minutes before he went into the office and ignored me again, like all of those tears. And it took 6 months. I was in the shadow realm fully. And I'm amazed with myself that I let myself do that, because normally I'm such a joy. Like I was writing a book called Joy Codes before. Like I love to DJ, I love to dance. Like people know me for my high energy, but I just knew like if everything I've learned to this point is true, like I need to feel this all now. Otherwise will haunt me for the rest of my life without I'm doing this so then I have the happy relationship, or I'm going to do this for 1 month and then I'm going to get back. It's like however long it takes. And also, even if I never find my way back, I will stay here. Like that level of I will stay here as long as you need. I remember I told my like social manager, I'm like, we've changed the brand colors. They were like hot pink, hot orange. I'm like, they're now maroon and brown. She's like, okay. But like it changes you. It changes how you want to dress. It changes how you want to show up, changes all of those things. And I was so afraid of the shadow that I would manifest it through my relationships because it's the only way. When you were a good girl or a good boy, you were attracted to the bad boys and the bad girls, you know, because it's the unintegrated part of you.
Yep.
So when I got to know the other side of myself, well, first of all, I start to realize, I'm like, wow, a lot of the things I maybe didn't understand about him or judged about him, like I started getting like tattoos. I started like producing music. I'm like, oh, I actually like would have got along way better with him now because I have access to the side of me, but it's like from a pure place rather than from the bad boy who like doesn't want to be seen or understood of like, I can dance. Like you can tell me the gnarliest thing that's ever happened to you and I will like be unflinched, you know?
Literally with you see clients all the time, right?
Yeah.
And you work with people one-on-one or in your courses. And yeah, my clients will tell me things and they are like, and they're like, what's the word? Like
Trigger
hesitant
warning,
or they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, just lay it on me. Like, it's fine. And they'll tell me the wildest thing. Woman will be like, oh, I'm having an affair with my husband's nephew. Like things that, or like crazy things that happened to them in their childhood. Like one woman I can think of, I won't even, give an identity, but super accomplished, like insanely accomplished, and I've never seen a childhood like this in my life. Everything you could imagine from every tragic movie you can imagine put together. And she like says it as, so casually now, but I would just receive it like, okay, let's clear around that. All right, let's clear that. Like so as though you just told me you just did the dishes.
And that creates safety in the person because I know if you're able to sit with my shadows, I can be authentic around you. Whereas when we have not accessed our own shadows, people can actually feel that. So they can feel all of me is not invited to this table because if I say something to you that's too much, that you feel like you can't handle, I'm going to feel shamed and judged. And I'm going to go back into my hole. And that hole is where shame ferments and adds and putrefies and finds its way not through the empowered darkness but through like the actual gnarly shadow darkness of toxic behaviors that we have in our culture today. For men tends to be addictive behaviors, porn addiction, sex addiction, escort addiction, vaping, weed, OnlyFans. I would say those are a lot of the big shadows with men today. With women, attention, social media, people checking your stories, shopping, plastic surgery, being perfect, the Kardashian consciousness that, the ayahuasca did this amazing rap song for me. And it was just like, it showed me all of the ways that even I took on this consciousness of if I'm just perfect enough, then I'll find the perfect guy. But even Ken doesn't want to play with Barbie. Because it's fake. It's plastic in that world. So coming back to dating, authenticity, it's like, how can I, you don't need to on date one, spill out your childhood trauma. I'm not saying do that. Don't quote me there. But it's like, how can you actually fully show up as your full self with friendships, with everything? And by doing so, you allow space for them to show up as your full self and then to not take it personally if it's not a fit. Right? I think we're so afraid of the rejection that might happen of, hey, you might have been your full self when we first met. And then I might have been like, love that for you, not a fit for me. And we would have gone our own ways. Exactly. But instead I don't even remember how we started talking. We were at a party and he's like full like energy testing me and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, it's a fit, and it's and so now we know it's a genuine fit and neither of us are playing roles. And I think that this new paradigm that we're in with friendships and relationships is moving from role mate to soulmate. The role mate is, I'm looking for a husband. He's, 6'3", finance, blue eyes, like
checklist.
Exactly. Do you fit the bill? Because I'm the casting director and I'm looking for the actor. And then so it's like, you're not even really getting to know me. You're just looking for someone to play the role in the movie of your life. No one wants to be
and that
the side
checklist
character.
could come from those childhood things that you didn't work on, right?
Always.
Yeah.
And instead, really just being curious about the person in front of you. Who are they? Like, they're a human. Like, one thing I'm so grateful for from my divorce, from pain, is it gives you so much empathy. That I start going around and I'm like, damn, like this cashier has gone through pain. This FedEx delivery guy has gone through. It's like you just become so much more present with every person. And the gift is it makes you become so much more alive. Like I feel like before I was operating on like radio stations like 800 to 1200 and now I'm like 0 to 10,000. Like I can like feel so much more. And that is the purpose of life. It's not to feel happy all the time. That doesn't even exist. It's to become more alive.
Yeah, God, you're so good with like the way you describe it too. It's like that Rumi quote where he says like, break your heart, that's where the light comes in. I mean, it really does just expand so much to where you have compassion and empathy for everybody. And the way you even described, I don't know if you've spoken about it publicly, but how you spoke with your husband, and you said the reason he felt so open to open up and tell me everything is because I sat with him and I didn't go, you cheated on me and blah. You instead were like, wow, what else? Like, tell me more. And where does that come from? Like you, of course I still need to leave. I can't stay in this relationship, but let's talk about this. And didn't you stay up like all night just sharing stories?
Yeah, he told me because he sat with a plant medicine, San Pedro, and the medicine, was the facilitator of the truth. And something came through. It was like Kuan Yin energy, like that divine mother.
Oh my God, that's so weird you say that. I pulled the Kuan Yin card a few days ago at a party and I've never heard of Kuan Yin.
Oh, wow.
And now you say that.
She's very present for me in my field.
Whoa.
And so he woke me up in my sleep and told me this. And everything else he's been ever suppressing and traumas and this, and it was beyond heavy. And of course, this is my life too. I've been with this person since I was 24 years old. I'm 31, about to be 32 at this time. But something within me just came through, like a higher power that said, this man is telling you the truth right now. Just listen. You are witnessing someone for the first time tell their truth. And so instead, no part of me could even feel anger. No part of me could. I was out of body and we stayed up for 7 hours and I just asked him questions to understand, why? Like, how did you feel before doing it? What was your thought process? Like, not a tear came out of my eye. No, not that night. It was the most connected we've actually ever been, which is crazy because we were telling the truth. Of course, the next day when it started to hit me of like, holy fucking shit, my marriage is over, the tears began and they went on for many of months. But in that moment, because if I went into, how dare you do that, or you cheater, or I'm so angry at you, or any kind of, he would have stopped right there. It's like a flowing river. It's like a dried up river that has been dried up for 38 years or however old he was at the time. And now all of a sudden it's like a little droplet and some droplets and some droplets. If we put a dam on it right there, it's like, that's it. But instead I wanted to really understand like why, and get the full understanding. And of course it's always related to your childhood traumas. No one is cheating because they're just looking for fun. It's always related to our way of self-soothing the parts of our little boy or little girl that is unhealed.
And that's the thing. He's not like, he wasn't being malicious in it. Of course, it's not a good thing, right?
No, it was unconscious behavior.
Totally. Even the 17-year friendship I was talking about, like I still go, that's a hurt little child. I think that all the time. And I have so much compassion for that person. I'm like, I really hope they've healed. And I don't know what that relationship will be in 10 years or yours with your ex or, whoever else is listening to this right now and is dealing with that kind of a fight or a disconnect with somebody. I'm like fully in the phase where I'm like, I love that person. I have fully forgiven that person. I hope they have fully forgiven me for whatever I did in their reality, because we're both experiencing two completely different realities of what happened, I'm sure. And, it's interesting how like the Kuan Yin that you just brought up and all these themes are coming up, because just this morning, one of my closest friends of like 17, 18 years now at this point, messaged me and was talking about this guy that she used to date. And this was like a whole toxic, those like where you break up, you get back together, all these things for years. And all of a sudden today, as she like moves into her new place, she's starting to be interested in somebody else. Her and this guy reconnect. He comes over at like 1 a.m. after he leaves work, and they just chatted till 6 a.m. and sat on the couch and talked and had the most. And she's like, wow, I realized I have a friend for life and like a protector in my corner if I ever need it. Like, she's like, we just felt so close, like we never have. She's like, this person has never been able to show emotion, intimacy, none of that. And tonight we just really bonded and opened up. And, this is years later. So who knows who that person might be in their healing journey and yours and how that correlates later. But it's so important to be like where you were, where you're like, I'm here for you, I'm with you. But obviously, like, this needs to end as it is right now. It cannot stand.
Yeah, I mean, so much to say on that. First of all, forgiveness takes time. I remember like, okay, I need to forgive. We can spiritually bypass ourselves
and
by being like, oh, I forgive.
Ourselves.
Exactly, I forgive. Took me a long time. Took me a year and a half to genuinely be able to forgive. What helped me actually genuinely forgive was to say, my life is so much better now. So why would I be angry when I actually, I live in freaking Dubai now. Like, I've been able to travel the world. I love who I am. I've grown up. I like my life in every single way is amplified as a result. So like, why would I still be angry?
Yeah, it's like, how about thank you even?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So much. You're giving me like so much context and richness in my life, nuance. That being said, I also want to add, we all have hurt little boys and little girls, and it's not an excuse to do wrong. Because sometimes us spiritual people can be like, well, they're a hurt, traumatized child, so it's okay. No, they still wronged you. They still lied to you. They still dishonored vows. They still, betrayed you. Those are real things. However, it's this balance of like understanding, yes, it comes from their traumas, and being so discerning about what you allow into your life.
Yeah, it's that. It's the energy that you allow.
We can have compassion for why they're like that. Because forgiveness is for us. We've heard that a million times, but it's like, so I don't keep, whenever their name comes into my head, be like, oh yeah, fuck that bitch. That doesn't feel good, But for me to genuinely be able to have like a field in my mind that I can go to anything and feel like neutral, that is why we forgive. And that being said, so many people stay in those kind of relationships because they're like, oh, they're traumatized. I understand. I'll help them heal.
That was me for like probably a decade.
Exactly. And so then that's actually our hurt little boy and little girl that's staying in that dynamic. So it's like understanding and also choosing, because there's a lot of people for you to be friends with. Is your ex that betrayed you genuinely the best person to be your friend? Sure, this person will always be an ally from afar. I don't believe in being best friends with you. I think that's like a way that we try to not let go, like.
I mean, there's case by case too. Like I was just at the Coldplay concert and I was thinking of like Chris with Gwyneth Paltrow. It's like, but they have their kids and they want everything to be harmonious.
If you have kids, you genuinely
yeah.
need to. But I see a lot of people live in this fantasy of, I'm going to be best friends with my ex and get into the next relationship. And again, I have a course on heartbreak. I work in this realm. 99% of the time, it's them not wanting to let go, And if you genuinely let go of this person, and I believe there needs to be a period of no contact.
Yeah, agreed.
And the longer the relationship, the longer that period is, because you can't just fall out of love with someone. You could be so mad at them. They could have wronged you. You could have a list of reasons why you're not meant to be with each other. But when love is there, I don't think it ever really goes away. It's a force field that is created that no matter what, anyone you've loved for the rest of your life, you will love them.
But can that love transform to where it's like, okay, now we can be in a room where we love each other, but we're not in love with each other?
It can, and it takes genuine time apart. And when I say genuine time apart, I mean like you can go days without that person being in your thoughts. If they're still in your thoughts every day, if you're still processing things about them, if things are still reminding you of them, if you're still comparing things about them, you're not fully processed from the relationship. And I know people don't want to hear that. They're like, I'm over it. Processing it is still, you're still in it. You're still tethered to it. Like my high school ex, I literally don't think about him ever, that is like fully processed and gone. But truth be told, even 2 years ago, it's still for me to be hanging out with this person, I don't feel is actually beneficial for my life and for most people. I think it's just, we want to go towards what's familiar, because when we fall in love with someone, we create a home in them. And as humans, we are perpetually looking for a sense of home. We were in our mother's wombs where we were like at home and it was warm and it was snuggly and, there were waves in there. That's why we have waves on our fingertips, and then all of a sudden we're eradicated from this home.
Wait, tell me about the waves.
The reason why we have waves on our fingertips was the formation of water in our mother's womb.
Really?
What was crazy is I remember as a kid telling my mom, I used to surf the waves in your belly.
No.
I would tell her that.
What?
But in my head as a kid, I imagined myself like literally surfing. Wow. But it was like, I remembered, I was like 3-4 years old, but I don't remember being in the womb, but I remember telling her that I was in these waves. And then I remember hearing that and I'm like, oh my God, I literally remembered that. So we're eradicated from our mother's wombs, and all of a sudden we have to breathe for ourselves. Everything hurts. Oh my God. I just want to be back home. I just want to be back in love. In love. So that's what we're looking for the rest of our lives. How do I come back in love? Can I find it here? Are you my home? Oh, no, you aren't my home. Can I find it here? Are you my home? No. But brief moments of time when your face is in their neck and you're connecting and your eye gazing and your hearts are connected. It's that moment of feeling at home. Oh my God, this is what I live for. And then he checks his phone and the moment's gone and I have to go to work and he's not replying to my text and the home is gone and we're just looking for the home and looking for the home. And that's the journey of finding home within ourselves. That home is not in a person, it's not in a place, it's not in a thing, it's a state of consciousness. It's
even beyond ourselves. It's like that infinite nothingness from which all experiences arises.
Exactly. And until we can really sit with that, which is the journey of really learning how to be alone.
Yeah.
You know, if you told me my biggest fear, it wasn't intimacy, it wasn't being even cheated on, it wasn't anything, it was being alone. My biggest fear is being alone for the rest of my life. So I had to really sit with that. Why? I had to go into, imagine, maybe I just never meet anyone again. Maybe my karma is, you're gonna get married when you're young, gonna have this divorce, and then you're just gonna be like a medicine woman for the rest of your life and, you know, live up in the mountains and have some dogs because you don't like cats really. You know, like that's your faith. What would happen? I'd be like, oh my God, that would suck. I don't want that. But then I'd be like, but if that is genuinely what happened, would I be okay? I'm like, you know what? I'd have my friends. I'd be able to travel, heal, have freedom, have this. Maybe that would actually be a great life. It's not what I want, but I could love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just a matter of the thing that we're so afraid of. Could you love that too? Because it's only when we can love our fears and love our shadows that then they no longer have a hold on us. Whatever we are afraid of will manifest in our lives. It will. If you asked me before, what's your biggest fear? I'd say being cheated on. That was my biggest fear. So I had to have it happen to realize you'll survive that too. So anything you're afraid of was being alone. I had to go so deep into the depths of aloneness. I was living in a mountain by myself. And every time I felt that feeling of loneliness, I would start to ask myself, why do I feel lonely right now? I noticed for me it was when I was working a lot. I just want someone to hold me and this. So it's like, okay, do you need someone? Can you just take a break? Can you just lie down? So I would like lie down on a yoga mat. Can you feel held by the earth? Can you imagine Mama Gaia hugging you and loving you and saying, take a break, darling, be with us, be with the grass, be with the trees. Can you look at how held you are by everything around you? And I would do so much just asking myself questions of why do I feel alone? What does it mean to be alone? And really getting to the depths of the bottom of the barrel. And for me, the bottom of the barrel, when I really asked, what am I so afraid of in this being alone? Because if you asked me before, when I was in the relationship, I loved being alone. I love to spend time alone. I love to go on trips alone. But there was a different aloneness when you're like single, alone. No one knows where you are. You're in another country. You don't have an emergency contact. Right. It's like a different kind of alone. And I realized it was like this fear of if I am not giving, communing in relationship, then it's like, I don't even deserve to live. That was like the bottom of the barrel. And I was just like, that's crazy that I feel that. If I am not giving to someone, I don't deserve to live. But if you think about it, look at all the women in my ancestral lineage. Give, 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 give. Because if you're not, well, you literally won't live because you won't have a husband and you won't have access to resources and you will die.
Yeah, yeah.
So actually for me, the loneliness was the tip of the iceberg. The bottom of the iceberg was because if you are not giving in relationship, you will die. So find a relationship as soon as possible to live. But the truth is, do I actually today need a relationship to live? No. Do I need one to provide for myself? No. Do I need one for any of those things? No. But I want one because I think love is the highest vibration that we're here. I love intimacy. I love connection, but letting it come from the siddhi, from the gift, rather than from that pain point, because the pain takes us to role mate. I need husband so I can live, casting director, help me find someone. The siddhi is being patient, waiting as long as it takes, because if you're really talking the rest of your life, does it need to be in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
For the rest of your life? Like imagine, like we think so long about like signing a lease. We check out all these different apartments and we compare, should I sign a lease? I don't know. It's 1 year. It's a long time. I don't know. But then when it comes to like finding a husband, we're like, sounds great. Let's hop in, It's like, and that's, imagine a universal lease, I feel if we really like sat with that, and again, we can also take that to the other side of never being ready, that Peter Pan consciousness, and there's a balance, but I feel women, we can often just like, I just want to be in love. I just want to give because that gives me a feeling of safety, security, and a place in society. And for men, it's often the fear of, oh my God, if I fall into a relationship, I'm going to lose my career, lose my sense of freedom, lose my sense of self. And it's finding the integration of both within ourselves. If you are someone that's more in your feminine, more on the codependent people pleaser side, going into being alone. If you are someone that's more on the avoidant, lone wolf, like emotionally unavailable side, it's learning how to be in intimacy and connection. And it's the yin and the yang and the Shiva and the Shakti, and we need each other.
I love that you just said Shiva and Shakti, because we've been talking a lot about that and the union of the two, not just in like finding your Shiva or Shakti, which would balance you out, but also the inner Shiva and Shakti. And I thought what was really interesting, because this has been like my biggest practice, I think, in the last year, this strong connection with Shiva on my right, Parvati on my left. And for people who don't know, we're talking about the Hindu god and goddess of Shiva and Parvati, the infinite nothingness of Shiva and the spark, the aliveness of Shakti that gives it power, that wakes it up. And that when I do my pranayama breathing, my alternate nostril breathing, I always, when it's like the exhale or inhale on the left, it's always Parvati. I literally see her breathing in and him breathing out, him breathing in, her breathing out. Like that's how connected they are where you don't know where one begins and the other ends. They say that not only did Parvati want Shiva as her husband, that wasn't enough for her. She wanted to attain him. She wanted to attain Shiva. She wanted to merge with him so that they were one, that they were always one. And I never knew this ever until I saw it 2 days ago, where somebody posted a photo from a book on Instagram, and it shows the midbrain in the brain, how it looks exactly like an elephant with the trunk and everything. It's Ganesha in the center of the left and right brain. So when I'm doing this pranayama and I'm imagining Shiva and Parvati breathing in union together, what is in the middle, what's being formed, is a healthy Ganesha who's their child, the remover of all obstacles. So when this practice is happening, what obstacle can be in front of you? And then you describe that, but in a way of a relationship. You want that union with your Shiva, with that divine masculine that can be strong enough to carry your feminine, and not just carry it, but I hate to say, because it's such a cliche from a movie of like you complete each other, but it is that perfect union of the masculine and the feminine.
Yes. So, one of the stories of Shiva and Shakti is that Shiva was, a wild man. He didn't follow societal norms.
Dreadlocks, yogi.
Exactly. And he, so many women wanted to be with him. He was not interested. He had lost his wife. And so he went to Mount Kailash and he's like, I'm just focused on attaining samadhi. And he went into his meditation and he was up there just connecting to God. And so all of the women were trying to get his attention. He couldn't even see them. He was in another dimension. And so Parvati decided, I'm not going to chase him. I'm not going to try to wake him up, but I'm going to go to another mountain over there. And I'm going to stand on one leg and I'm going to go into my own deep state of samadhi.
But she was contemplating Shiva too, so he couldn't escape it because he's so sensitive to energy.
Yes.
And she's so deep in that she's like, Shiva, 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 right?
But I don't, there's different stories. And in this one, she was just focused on samadhi. She was just focused on her spiritual pathway. And that actually sent a ripple to Shiva that he said, who is that is vibrating on my level of consciousness?
Yeah.
She wasn't meditating Shiva, 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 Shiva by this dark feminine meditation thing and manifest your special person.
Right, no, but she's attaining that level of that Shiva consciousness.
She's like, I'm going to go up to my own God. And he's like, who is that that's vibrating on my frequency? I feel that. I must find her. And he left to go find her. And then together, when they joined, these two powerful, embodied, self-source beings, they made love and created the rivers and the mountains and the forests and all that is life. And to me, that story means instead of trying to chase or make happen or get or perform, focus on your own highest self, become your own highest self, because that person who is on your vibrational frequency will then find you. And I remember thinking, I was like, oh, but like women are all more spiritual than men, you know? It's like, so what's the point almost?
It's interesting you say that, because every saint, every like yogi, it's so rare that there's a woman.
Right. But in the masses of women versus masses of men, I would say more women are likely to do personal development work and be
for sure, like
pathway.
do yoga,
so before, like I was like, damn, like how am I even gonna find a spiritual man? And then once I started reaching higher and higher levels of consciousness, I'm like, oh, they're there. I just couldn't see them, you know? And it's like continuing, and it's like we talked about that of like you actually don't see people until you're at a certain level of consciousness.
Yep.
Like I can physically see you, but I don't actually really see you.
100%.
It's like different levels and access points become available. And I always say when you go through like a big life experience, it's like you are put into this new building. And as you start to heal and contemplate and reflect and take that initiation for all that it was meant to be in your life, you start to go up different elevator floors of consciousness. So now all of a sudden I'm on the 6th floor and I'm seeing things from a perspective I couldn't have seen before. Now it's very easy for me to get out on the 6th floor, get into the 6th floor relationship, have the 6th floor life. That's where most people are. But if I can say, you know what? I'm going to trust there's even higher floors. And I go deeper into myself. And now I'm on the 16th floor. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know there were streets over there. I didn't even know these roads connected in this way. And now I'm meeting new people on the 16th floor. But are there higher floors? And instead of getting out on that floor, which I'm going to be stuck on the 16th floor relationship, it doesn't mean I'm stuck there forever, but you know, it's a relationship is a ship. And once you get on it, it's a little bit more time to maneuver your way back on. So instead, can I get up to the 32nd floor, the 64th floor, the 128th floor, you know, keep going up and up and up. And as I'm getting to higher levels of consciousness, I'm meeting new people, it's no coincidence that you and I are connecting now in this time. We both needed to reach because it's crazy. We both lived in LA. I never even heard your name before. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. We both needed to be on certain levels of consciousness here in Dubai to meet at this level that our souls previously would not have been able to hold.
Exactly.
You know? And so it's so easy for us out of loneliness, out of I'm going to miss out on time, out of my parents really like this person, out of, well, I was offered this thing or that opportunity, whatever the thing is, to just get off these floors. Now you might say, well, how high does this building go? I think we're here to find out, you know? And it's like, sometimes you got to get off on the floor to try out that floor. You know, it's like, okay, this feels right. You know, I don't know if this is the floor I'm going to be on forever, but this feels like a floor that has lessons for me. This feels like a floor that I want to spend some time on. I'm going to sign the lease in this place, you know? And that might be a relationship that you have or an opportunity that you try or something like that. Because, you know, if we're only just meditating, getting higher, it's like then we're not living, right? So sometimes you got to live a little bit on the floor. But the thing is to learn when to let go. Yeah. You know, I wrote this song, Trust, Flow, Surrender, Let Go. And it was a mantra I was telling myself during the divorce. Trust, flow, surrender, let go. I'm the one I've been waiting for. And it's become a mantra for so many people. And I always say the hardest part of that is to let go. Because we get off on the floor and we meet the person and we have this group of friends and we have this job and we have this life on this, you know, 64th floor. It's a great floor. I worked really hard to get on this floor. But it's that itch of feeling there's something more. There's more depth. There's more truth. There's more aliveness. There's more within me. And I would be lying to myself to stay on the 64th floor for the rest of my life when my spirit, like Moana, is telling me to explore out into the seas. And so that's the hardest thing sometimes to let go. To let go of that old life, that reality, especially I'm talking ninja levels of consciousness right now when nothing's wrong.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes God is like, okay, you're not going to let go. I'm going to burn that shit to the ground. You know, the big situation, right? But I remember being in LA, nothing was wrong. I had a beautiful pink apartment in Santa Monica. It was iconic. I had my podcast studio in my apartment. I was living in my dream space. Friends around me, Erewhon, beach, my dog, everything was great. But when I did 10 days of silence with Rose Dieta, and it showed me, am I living my optimal human experience based on what I really desire, especially in this chapter of my life, which is expansion and deep conversations and being in community where it's like I can like see someone and not be like, let's send a Google Cal to each other a month from now to hang out for a walk, like to be in the richness of life, to like go to India and Egypt. Like that is my ultimate life of how I want to live right now, especially before I have children and family. And so it showed me to move to Dubai. Made no sense. But I knew to trust it. We talk about it, trusting the intuition when it's those gentle little nudge, 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 whisper, something's a little uncomfortable.
And that's just honestly flow. When everybody describes flow and being in a flow, that's what they're discussing.
Exactly.
Like I'm right now in that boat where you are, where everything in LA is perfect. I love it. I live in the Hollywood Hills. I have a great life. I have my pets. My podcast is also at my place. Like everything is perfect. And yet I'm like, I need to get out, and it has to be this year, and it has to be October. I don't know why, but I also know when I launched this podcast a year and a half ago now, because we're on season 3, when I was launching season 1, I had announced on Instagram, I was like April 20th is the release date. I don't know why, I just said April 20th, and this was in January. I do my yearly 420, I know, right? So perfect. And I reached out to my astrologer and we did a session for my yearly report in January. And I was like, by the way, podcast, like when should I release it? He's like, definitely April. And I was like, okay, any specific date? And he was like, April 20th. And I'm like, wow, that's already the launch date. And he's like, yeah, you're already in the flow. But it was like that with every question I asked him. It was already what I was planning on doing. And I don't know, there's no logical reason. You know, like I went to Spain last year or 2 years ago. I made like the amazing group of friends that I love. I had one of the most spiritual experiences internally. And I had no idea why I was going there. In fact, when I got there, I was like, what am I doing? I got in my rental car, I pulled over the side of the road. I was like, why am I in Spain? I'm so busy right now. I have so much going on. Why did I just leave and go to Spain? I have no reason to be here. And it ended up being one of the best, most incredible, like I have this like group of family on Mallorca now that, you know, that I keep in touch with. They're extremely spiritual as well. They're in this community, but you just have to follow that beyond what the mind is telling you, because it'll get logical really fast. Right when you have that hit of intuition, like yours was like leave LA. And like since you've been in Dubai, are you noticing why? Like are all the reasons coming of like, oh, this is why I'm here?
My life is in such deep flow here. We just had the LA fires. I would have been living right there.
Right.
In Santa
I
Monica.
happened to leave like 2 days before they started and I'm still here. So my soul was like, you don't need that lesson. That lesson's not for you.
It's interesting because our souls sign up for certain lessons, and there's like group lessons such as like fires that happen or a revolution or war or something like that. And those are like, for example, like all Persians have the group collective trauma of the revolution there. But then I kind of feel like some of us who've been on like a heartbreak initiation, like that has been our initiation. So then our souls, because I've kind of been noticing a lot of the people in LA that I know, not all, but most of them, all the ones I know are in relationships.
The ones that are there now.
Yes.
Or they're still like tangled and they're figuring it out.
All my friends that are in LA are mostly in relationships. So I wonder, it's like they needed the fire experience. And then those of us who went through the heartbreak experience are just on a kind of different timeline here. Again, I don't know. Sometimes I'm trying to know its patterns. Of course, not everyone.
No, but
in LA
that's important. I don't want to like move away from that. I feel like this is a really important thing.
I do think like, you know, I look at these like collective group things and then I'm like, okay, obviously a group of souls chose to be part of that. And why, you know? overall throughout this life, we're learning impermanence, like the Buddhists create a beautiful sand mandala and they work so long. And it's crazy because towards the end of me being in LA, I was invited to create a sand mandala with this group of Rinpoches. And, we spent hours on making that thing. And they're not like half-assing it because they know it's going to be, they're like, no, you got the red and the yellow. And I'm like, oh shit, and I got to fix it.
Wow.
Like they're really spending their time as if this was going to be on their wall for the rest of their lives. So it's like showing up for life fully, showing up for your relationships fully, showing up for your friendships fully, showing up for this
knowing that they're
podcast
not
fully.
permanent.
Knowing that this too shall pass. Knowing that one day this podcast that I'm giving my all to right now is not going to exist. Spotify is not going to exist.
The Louis Vuitton that
Phones.
somebody's so whatever upset, and it's okay, by the way, have it, but not to be attached to it because that will one day be in a yard with like maggots making babies in it.
Everything in life. Letting go. It's the hardest thing for us because when something is beautiful, we want to hold on to it forever. But a rose can't perpetually be in bloom. And even her dead petals are beautiful. It's what we create rose water with and tinctures. And it just takes on a new form. And that is life. It's the sand slipping through our fingers and it goes away and it creates something new. Did you know the Sahara Desert used to be an ocean? Everything changes.
The depth. Yeah.
The depth. And right now it's the driest place on earth. Who knows what it will be 10,000 years from now?
It could be the greatest ocean on the earth one day. Yeah.
Again, it could be a forest. It could be habitats we can't imagine. Look at your own life, how much things have changed. If someone were to tell you 10 years ago that your life would have looked like this, could you even begin to imagine? So why do we try? I stopped setting goals a long time ago. Why do we even try when there is a divine plan for us that we can't even begin to fathom because it is so much more beautiful than we could ever think. And so that's why I also don't believe in manifestation.
Thank you. Wait, can we talk about this for a minute?
Yes.
I'm looking because we have about 20 minutes
It's
left.
so
and you've been
limited.
leading to it for a while now. This is one of my big epiphanies that I had yesterday, which is, well, first of all, I've never been.
This is a little controversial here.
Because here's the thing. Can I read you what I wrote today?
Cello.
It's in my email because I was like, reminder, write it in the book, put it in the book. I wrote here, manifesting trend. And then I literally wrote, insert eye roll here. I wrote, institutions have long silenced spiritual concepts from spreading. Why then is spirituality suddenly cool, but only trends like manifesting? Because it uses spirituality as a tool to serve the ego and it seeks for illusion to replace truth. Also, thank you. Also, think about this. If you were the creator in a slumber, just dreaming, right? And you could right now dream up anything. And let's say it was like 100-year life, like the perfect life of 100-year lifespan. You would dream up this, the perfect partner, the perfect job, everything would be great and glamorous. And then you're like, okay, now I can dream up another one. Eventually, after a millennia of doing this, you would be like, let's have a surprise. Let's try something I've never tried before. I'm just gonna sit back and see what happens on this one. So basically what I'm saying is if you are the ultimate creator, you would dream exactly what your life is right now. And that is the ultimate, the highest. It couldn't get any better because it's full of churns and surprises and lessons. And this is what you have now is what you would create. If you were already done creating the perfect Barbie life, the Ken life over and over and over, what you're experiencing right now is what you would create. And I told you this story. I'll say it now because I do want to tell it, but I've told you this story one-on-one about, right? The life, if you could go back 10 lifetimes, you wouldn't change what is happening to you right now, even the worst thing. And what showed me that is that a life that I had seen in ayahuasca, that I had seen with my personal channeling session with a healer. And it was a life where, long story short, my partner gets stoned to death by my parents and I'm forced to watch it for a whole circumstance of reasoning. All of a sudden, I'm having this meditation one day after I thought I had come to terms with it. And I'm sitting, but my whole body's convulsing, moving like a snake. All of a sudden, Lord Ganesha comes and sits on my stomach.
Your parents that stoned your partner.
My parents stoned my partner in that lifetime.
Yeah, imagine the pain of your parents stoning your partner.
And making you watch it so that you'll never be with someone like that again. And because I came from a higher class, I was male. The person was also male, but came from a low class. Like there was so many circumstances. The guy was married with 3 kids in that life. And so in the life, he dies, and I'm heartbroken, devastated in my bed, crying. All these things are happening, right? But in this instance, in this meditation, I imagine what would have happened, or I'm seeing what would have happened if I had interfered and said, hey, please, like I beg you, I'll be the son you want me to be. Let him live. He'll go live in isolation or exile, whatever, with his wife and 3 kids. And I had made things worse for me, knowing that my extreme, like the perfect love is out there and I can't be with that person, made it worse for him because now his kids and his wife hates him. His wife won't even talk to him, but has to be with him because of, like you said, in those ages you just stayed. And I made everything worse. And the worst part of it is my soul didn't get the lesson it needed. His soul didn't progress like it needed to. We needed those lessons. And so by interfering and making things perfect, I actually made things a lot worse. And that lets you live in a place of right now, I'm not trying to manifest this or manifest that. I'm just in full acceptance, knowing, wow, this must be really great for my soul. Who knows why it's happening, but it's happening for a reason.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And
thank you.
When we go on a spiritual journey, there's different levels and elevator floors that we need to go into. And each of those floors will have a story that empowers us. I talk about in my book, Discover Your Dharma, the 5 stages of Dharma. The first stage is believing you even have one, believing you have a purpose. So that's like, when you see these things, follow your dreams, you can do it. Like we need that at first. We need the cheerleaders and the people who pep us up, because otherwise we're just on the conveyor belts of life, And that's level 1. I believe that I even have a dharma. When I say the word dharma, I'm talking about a soul's purpose, a bigger reason for being here, an expression, unique magic sauce. Now, level 2 is self-improvement. How can I become my best self? Meditation, fitness, eating healthier. That's where most of the personal growth space is. Tony Robbins, going through your checklist of things to do for your morning routine, all of those things, because, the mind and body are important parts. For me, my journey really began with my health and Ayurveda, because we can't ascend when we have stomach aches and, all of those things. But then we realize I am not a mind or a body to improve, but rather a soul to know. And that maybe there was never anything wrong with me. I just didn't know me. And that takes us to level 3, which is the spiritual awakening. Instead of trying to fix myself and improve myself, let me get to know myself. Who am I? What makes me come alive? What is my astrology and my human design? What is my childhood trauma? What is my gifts? What is my dreams? What are my fears? And so that brings us into the spiritual journey. But notice it's stage 3.
And that it's not to fix anything, like you just said, which is so important.
It's to get to know.
It's to know yourself.
So I know a lot of your listeners are biohackers, and I love that, but I'm going to speak to you for a sec right now.
Tell them.
I love how in biohacking, there's such an emphasis on self-improvement. And there's so much room we can grow. And I also love to sit and learn about these things as well. But to think we know more than God is it's comical. It actually is, to think that we can hack.
Or outsmart nature.
Outsmart this perfect system that created us. The very thoughts that we have about hacking are made by this creator. And yes, there are totally tools and things that we can do, but where are we going? I see a lot of people get stuck in this biohacking space of, I need to improve this, I need to improve that. What are you doing with that life force? How are you being of service to humanity with that? Great, you have perfect energy. What are you going to use that energy for? Or is it just more energy to have enough energy to get the next tool to get more energy? Is it ever even leaving this bubble? Like, I'm going to really speak out into this, because it's this like self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I'm inherently broken and I need to continue to fix and improve, because then I'm going to get perfection. And once I get this perfection, then maybe somehow I'm going to switch my mind into like doing the actual thing that made me come alive. But the thing is, I never get there, Because once I get my sleep score right, I got to look at my blood test and my hormones, and then I got to look at this. It's never ending.
And you have to maintain. I have to maintain that score.
It. And guess what? There's marketing involved in all of those things. So then by the time you've hacked all the things you've done, there's going to be a new thing. You have, oh, your aura's off now. Oh shit, your pineal gland activation tool thing. Don't worry, we have that. Oh, did you check out the invisible binaural frequencies coming out of your perineum? Like it never ends.
Yeah.
What are we doing this for? Yep. Sometimes the greatest way we can heal is just to be of service to humanity. I was just in India and I went to the slums Dharavi, the world's largest slums, and I was there. I was sitting with the people, asking them questions, learning about their life. Yeah, there was fucking plastic I inhaled and it's dirty as shit. And I definitely got sick. Healed me more than any IV I've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I get emotional saying that because we're so disconnected from reality in this life. And that's the only place where like true, deep healing can take place, when we are connected to what we perceive as the other, because trust me, I lived in LA too. You'll never find happiness in one perfect curated like center to the next, and then all you guys are talking about is how you're still incomplete. Mm-hmm. And so it takes us into this bigger question: why am I here? Why was I given this life? And then I can do the tools and enhance my energy to support the North Star of who I am and who I'm meant to be, because there is a reason why Source Universal Consciousness chose me to incarnate at this time, in this body, with this personality, in this way. Mm-hmm. Not so I could biohack my way to perfection, but so I could use that consciousness to create a ripple effect that only I can. And that can only happen when I get out of my own way. That can only happen when I make peace with the fact that I will perpetually be imperfect. But I am further along on a ladder than someone else. And that might be the ladder of, I used to wake up really anxious every day and now I don't, so I know a little something about that. That might be the ladder of, I went through this health challenge and I learned something about that. That might be the ladder of I was, disowned by my family. I know something about that. We're further along on some ladder than someone else. So can we help people with that? And just notice the glow up that happens. No, and not doing it for that, but notice it. Because you think it's going to happen from this self-obsession, but it actually happens when you drop this concept of self and you actually like, why do we love sex? Why do we love drugs? Because for a moment we forget this obsession with self that's making us so fucking sick. But then you got to take some ketamine to do that. Be of service to humanity.
I do love ketamine. But you know what? You're right. It's like doing it for a different reason, where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to drop in. I'm going to, as an extra support, but it's not like I'm broken, I need to be fixed, I have to do my ketamine. No. And I'm so glad
I'm going to finish the 4th and 5th
there's more
levels though. Yes.
Okay.
Spiritual awakening is not the end. Stage 4 is dharma development. Okay, I'm here for a bigger reason. Why? What tools have actually worked for me? What realizations have I actually had? What are the systems I want to deepen into? Because in spiritual awakening, it can feel like the spiritual wonderland that we're in of, oh shit, I got to learn my gene keys, human design, past life, ancestral lineage, and to make sure I don't forget about, my, all the plant medicines and the Taoist system and the tantric system. And it's like, you think you have to know all of it and you don't. Pick one thing that works for you. I used to pull cards. I even have an oracle card deck. And I realized if I just embody one card for the rest of my life, if I truly embody the energy of that one card for the rest of my life, I will get so much further. So dharma development is to deepen mastery. We've lost concept of that in our society. Where we're TikTok consciousness,
Also, we're digging multiple holes. Kundalini, doing this, doing hatha, rather than just one hole, really deep into that one mastery.
Exactly. Yeah. And through the mastery, for me, I spent 2 years living in India studying Ayurveda, and whatever that is for you, it doesn't mean you're stuck doing that thing, but to understand why are these ancient systems the way that they are. They've been passed on for 10,000 plus years for a reason, And that development doesn't have to be in spirituality. It could be through gardening. It could be your interior design, but really like dive into something. It's like going into all these like short-term relationships and thinking you're a master of relationships. You're not. Certain lessons you only learn about a relationship 7 years in that you'll never know at the beginning. So through the development of our dharma, we start to then see from a genuine place, what is my unique way of saying this? What are the unique stories I've had in my life to support this? How are these two systems that have supported me connected? And that's when I start to develop my own unique approach to something, which brings us into stage 5, dharma embodiment. And that is when I am being me full time. There is no separation between the me at the work and the me outside. You talk to me at dinner and said this, it's the same me.
Yeah.
What happens though in dharma embodiment is everything in your life needs to come into calibration, because that hole in your pocket will hold you back. So you might have the 17-year friendship blow up, the marriage blow up, the home that you thought you would retire in forever, burn to the ground, like things like that can happen because everything that is not based in full truth will need to dissolve, because it is holding you back from doing the most important thing that your soul designed you, not just to do, but to become and emit and be the embodied frequency of on this planet. So there is that like check around the clock, and again, the spiral, and it continues. But the beautiful thing about dharma embodiment is it's like the integration of what you love and obstacles you overcome and the mediums that flow through you and what you're excited about and what you've helped people with and your superpowers, and all put together in this one thing. And there is nothing more magical, because you are literally living as the emanation of what your soul. Right now, when I'm speaking to you, I don't know what I'm going to say next, but I know that God is speaking through me, and I am here being a vessel for it.
Yeah, it's so clear.
And it's high. It's the most high I can be, because it's why I'm here. And every single person has their own unique version of it. It might be when you're planning amazing conscious events. It might be when you're one-on-one coaching someone. It might be when you're writing. It might be when you're creating films. It might be when you're creating fashion. It might be when you are helping someone nurse them back into health. Like, we all have those things that make us come alive. And to me, that was me not living. That was the reason why I had health problems, was the reason why my relationship, the reason why. If I can just keep going back to that, it raises my vibration in a way that nothing else can. And then all of a sudden, everything else needs to fall into place to support that, because Source wants you to be living your dharma, because it's in the benefit of consciousness and humanity. So you're receiving support from the creator that made you. So all of a sudden, you begin living in what is called kriya, effortless flow. When you're meeting the right person at the right time that says the right thing, you're listening to the podcast that said exactly what you need to hear, and you're like, who is this Sahara Rose? Because I think she's speaking to my soul right now. You're in Kriya. If you're here listening to this right now, you're in Kriya. So notice what happens next. Notice the next text message you receive and the song that comes on Spotify and the epiphany that comes through. Don't jump on to the next podcast after this. Don't start scrolling on social media, busying the mind. Let yourself be in the void and start to notice, because Source, when you start to listen, it starts to speak louder. I went from being rejected by 30 publishers, disowned from my family, living in a $2 a night hut in India, like nothing working out for me, break up, literally living in shit. Rats in my hut level, to a whole synchronistic story. I share about it in my book, Discover Your Dharma, and walking up to Deepak Chopra at a conference, who ended up writing the foreword of my book, who I began working with. And all of a sudden, I went from series of unfortunate events to Kriya because of this shift of consciousness that I made. And after that, he ended up writing 3 forewords of my book. I ended up creating a 7-figure business, and so many incredible things happened in my life, not because I'm special or I'm smart or anything like that, because the exact me was not living that. But I went from living in karma, which is, karma is bounded action by the universe. Karma are the barricades. Imagine your dharma is the end of a highway, and we are riding on cruise control down that highway. We were born to be living our dharma. That is why you are here. As a child, who you naturally were, if you were creative, if you were competitive, if you loved to play, these are actually different doshas we're looking at. That is who you're meant to be. But then on the highway, we notice all of our friends are getting off an exit. Oh, well, everyone from your town, goes into working at this corporation here, so you should do that. Well, everyone from your culture gets married at this age. Well, everyone from our family ends up doing this. Oh, well, if you don't do this, it's going to be too late for you. So you might as well get off the exit now. And so all of a sudden we're like, wait, am I the only person still on this highway? I'm scared. And so we might get off the exit too. And then God is like, oh no, you weren't supposed to get off the exit. There was a dharma for you. You just haven't seen it yet. So it starts to respond, tap, tap, tap. Something's off.
Readjust.
But most of us, we don't listen. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have to get a little louder for you. Punch, punch, punch. You're getting
Speed
super
bumps.
anxious.
Yeah.
Exactly. Panic attacks, things not working in your job, things not working in the relationship. Most of us drink more coffee, take more Adderall, numb, suppress, keep going. Life's tough. Get a helmet. That's what we're literally taught. We keep going off course, off of that dharma that we are born with onto this exit. And then the universe is like, okay, bitch, you're not listening? Okay. Collision. Dark night of the soul, on your knees moment, something that will shake you up so much to the level that your soul specifically needed, the level of rock bottom that you needed. We will create for you to support you. So you will U-turn and pivot towards the direction of your dharma. And there will be a period of a void where you are in a jungle with a machete and you have no idea what's in front of you because no one's walked this path before. And you're going to be asking your friends and family, and if they really love you, they'll say, I don't know. Because it's your path. And you just have to trust. You have to trust that if I have gone through this obstacle, it is for a greater reason, that only going through this obstacle will help me become. And then all of a sudden, it's like, you go through that machete, you don't know if it exists. I think of it as like you're on a beach, you're on the sand, and you hear there's these amazing open waters out there, but you've never been to the open waters. You've never even heard of it. And so every time you go, you're like hit by a wave, takes you back to shore. Hit by another wave, takes you back to shore. So most people are like, well, screw it. I guess it's just perpetual waves in this ocean. I'm not even going to try. But if you can learn how to duck, maneuver, get a surfboard, get tools, become a stronger swimmer, then all of a sudden you're out in the open water and you're like, this is what people are talking about. This is the dharma that Sahara Rose was sharing about. I'm finally living it. Mm-hmm. But if I let those waves continue to knock me back, I would never be here in these open waters. And the beauty is once I've navigated through those waves, when life throws me in more waves, I know what to do. Mm-hmm. Like a dark night of the soul, it doesn't need to get so dark anymore because I'm listening to those little glimpses of intuition that doesn't need to get so loud unless, again, I just choose not to listen. And so that is that level of 5 consciousness that you and I are both operating in, that we're hearing the whispers of our soul. We're saying the little uncomfortable truths that we spoke about at the beginning. And, you know, like an example I wanted to share is, I forgot to share the rest of the story, but I was texting with someone that I was supposed to, like I matched with on a dating app. I have never met this person. And I noticed they kept telling me to meet at this place where they live. Old me would have gone for it, and new me called it out. That could have saved me 5 years into a narcissistic relationship. When we start to notice and be honest with ourselves on those things, it's so easy looking back. Oh, damn, I could have saw those red flags, but I chose not to listen. Can you be in them? Can you like show up for that job? And maybe a week in, you just know this isn't the job for me. You know, my friend's dad was a lawyer. I was interviewing him for my book. And I was like why he really regretted becoming a lawyer. And I was like, oh, like how many years in? He said, well, it was as soon as I went to law school. But I decided, well, I'm in law school, so I might as well just graduate. And once I graduated, I said, I might as well pass the bar. And once I passed the bar, I said, well, I might as well, get a job. And then once I got the job, I said, well, I might as well make partner. And once I made partner, 30 years went by, and here I am retiring, and I wish I never finished law school. So are we going to let life go by us, or are we going to actually listen to the whispers of our soul while they are still whispers and before they become screams?
And on that note, I have about 30 side stories I want to get into, and I can't because of time and because I just think that was the perfect way to end it. But I love you. Let's do a 6-hour episode soon.
We're in the flow. Storytelling. This is why we're here. This is what we used to do as ancient, in ancient
And
cultures.
there's another version of us in some dimension somewhere having another conversation. It's just like, it's absolutely endless, and the layers are infinite. Is those 5 principles, are they in your book?
They're in my book, Discover Your Dharma. So if people go on iamsahararose.com/dharma, you can find that book. It's on Amazon, Audible. It's published in 20 plus languages. So you can find that there. And I also teach about becoming a soul purpose coach. So we can actually include a special link for your listeners to get first dibs and get a discount. So we can have that in the link below. So that's actually a 6-month training that I'm teaching with you live every single week. So you can become a certified Dharma coach and actually not only learn about your own Dharma, but to help other people discover theirs, which is so powerful because you learn the art of holding space and asking powerful questions. And you learn tools like the 5 stages of Dharma and the 9 Dharma archetypes and the Dharma journey spiral and Dharma chakra system. There's so many tools that have been channeled through for you to share and to make it your own. And we've graduated over 3,000 coaches who have gone on to have full-time private practices, to be hired by corporate as like career coaches and purpose coaches, to go on and do public speaking, book writing, podcasting, retreats. So it's been so incredible to see the ripple effects. And especially if you're someone that's into like yoga, breathwork, meditation, but you want to dive deeper and like actually have these deep conversations with someone. Because I started with health coaching and I'm like, I don't fucking want to talk about your apples that you ate. Like I want to talk about like why you emotionally binge at night. Like why? And it really teaches you how to have those things, which you can put with your family and friends and social life, or create a career for yourself doing it. So you can find out all about that at highestselfinstitute.com, which is my school. We have a number of certifications and we'll include a link for your listeners.
Let's do that for sure. And I have so many clients who are like, Frank, I have ran this company for decades, or I'm a successful this, successful that, but I think I'm a healer, or I think I'm an astrologer. I think I want to do what you do. And so to have this as like maybe an option of what that next path into healing could be would be amazing.
Absolutely. It's so powerful because a lot of our souls chose to be healers to facilitate with the shift of consciousness that's going on in this time where time is literally speeding up. I'm sure we're all seeing it. Lessons are being learned so quickly. And a lot of our souls needed to have like part 1, I'm going to be a lawyer. Part 2, I'm going to be a healer. And it's because you're meant to speak with those people that only you can through that experience, because you can use lawyer language with them. If you're an engineer, you can talk about, let's upgrade your software. You can like speak to them in those different ways, because I'm only going to resonate with like more spiritual people, but an engineer is going to resonate with engineers, and a stay-at-home mom is going to resonate with stay-at-home moms. So it's like we're all needed to really work with the demographic that we were a part of. And something I teach in the school is that your ideal client is a former version of you. So I'm out finding them. It's about, who was I 3 years ago? What were my problems 3 years ago? What kept me up at night? And how have I found my way on the other side? And that is your niche. And we help you for 2 months dive into the business of coaching, how to charge, how to set up sessions. I'm a Capricorn, so I'm like, let me tell you all of the things. And we have, so I just had on the podcast one of my students, Kenya. As soon as she graduated, she was making $10K a month.
Whoa.
She used to make $50,000 a year as a social worker. So she over doubled her salary as soon as she graduated, because we teach you actually how to take on clients while you're still in school. So she doubled her salary, became a 6-figure earner, working way less, and able to live her dharma. So it's just insane to me of like, let's just get rid of this like wounded healer prophecy that we've like collectively signed up on. And like, you got to be abundant,
a thriving healer now,
and do it in a way that like, it's oozing out of you. There's no part of you that's like, when you're like exhausted from a work day, it's because you're not living your dharma. I could do this literally for 6 hours with you, because
I can too. And
I'm living my truth. So I'm actually more energized from living my dharma.
There's times where I do not want to do my sessions at all. I'm like, God, I wish I could just lay in bed today, but I have like 5 sessions, man. By the end of it, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did that. That was amazing. I can't believe what came up in these sessions. So like, I know what you mean. Absolutely. Like, if there's something that comes that just like lights you up when you do it.
And that's how you know you're living your dharma.
I love you so much. Thank you
Love
for coming on. Thank you
Firas.
for showing up this way.
Merci.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much. This conversation was like an advanced high level one.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for listening and just being here on the planet at this time and living your truth. And send me a message if you listen to this. I'm so excited to hear what your takeaways are.
Yeah, these listeners can handle it. They like that, the high voltage spirituality, not
I see
the
you.
basic manifesting.
No, sir.
Thank you, Sarah.
Ever since I wrote my goals down with the pen, my dreams and reality have both been blending in. I just hope that in the end, my debt don't